Fixin' to Ride.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to Fixin' a Ride. Andrew here, working on the 02 ZR800. Winter's not over. It might be warm outside, but the forecasts are calling for more snow. So we're going to continue working on this thing. I got to get this thing running right. So you've seen on the channel, I've done a bunch of, quite a few videos. You've seen the shorts, and then you saw me change out the valves. Well, I still got those 3.5 valves in there. I ended up putting leaner needles in as well. I actually did that before, and I put the leaner valves in because I went from the 3.0s to the 3.5 valves degree. And so with the leaner needles in, it did help, but it didn't quite get me where I wanted. So I'm going to continue to work on this thing. I have the 3.5 degree valves in there now, and I did try the OEM needles, but I only went to the 3rd slot. I also tried the leaner needles, and I only tried I did the 4th and 3rd slot, because the 3rd slot was pretty lean. And it was cold out, but, you know, I didn't want to go any further than that because it just was, like, borderline for me. So, yeah. So today we're going to try the OEM needles, but we're going to put them in the 2nd slot, which I never did. Someone brought it up on Facebook, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I ever even did that. So we're going to try that today, but the main focus of the video is to show you guys how to change out needles with the carburetor still on. It's not that hard. It's pretty simple. If you guys aren't subscribed, though, hit the subscribe button and smash the alert bell. I'll always appreciate that. Let's get into the video. All right, so just a rundown on the tools we're going to need here. Got a 3/8 inch ratchet, extension, and a 4mm socket head bit. We got a 2.5mm Allen wrench, pair of needle nose, and got some vice grip needle nose, and then the needles. And that's really all you're going to need. I've done this on the trail. I have my little tool bag here that I will actually put a couple of these extensions in just because it fits better in the bag. But that's what I'll bring on the trail when I'm doing adjustments like this, what I've been doing to try and figure this stuff out. So, all right, let's go over what we have for needles. These are the original OEM needles. You can't really see the number, but these are the 9DFH2s, and these are 59 2.59mm wide, and then these are actually DH2-59, 9DH2-59. And so I bought these in the hopes of maybe they will stay a little thicker, because there's only 2 tapers to them. So I'm hoping that they'll stay a little thicker down here. And being 59 still, the sled runs great, you know, past the point that it's rich. So if I can keep it a little leaner longer, then, or at least, you know, in the beginning part, I'm hoping that will allow the, you know, range of like 25 to 2,800 RPMs up to 45, 4,800 RPMs to lean out a little bit and run better. So that's what I'm working with today. These are actually a set of needles that came out of the ZR500 with a 3.5 degree valves in them. So those are just extras. Probably not going to try those I can't find anything online that really tells, that's got a chart that tells what the letters are exactly. Obviously they're tapers, but they don't give you a breakdown on what's what. So I have come to the conclusion based off of comments that other people said, and then just checking out the differences between needles that are stock for sea level, and then needles that are for like 5,000 to 9,000 feet on different carbureted sleds that have these TM carburetors on them. It seems like the higher, or the greater the letter, so starting from A, the greater the letter, the richer it is. And the lower the letter, or earlier the letter, the leaner it is. It's degree of taper, so the further into the alphabet the letter goes for that taper, the greater the taper is. So at this point, I can really only base it off of the greater the letter, the further into the alphabet the letter is, the greater the taper, and therefore, or the greater the degree of the taper, and therefore the richer it is. And so when they do, another thing that I've found is that when the letter is determined, it will be at 10 millimeters each for 3 tapered needles. And so there's also the number that's at the end here. Now, if you see this number right here, this is the 9DH02s. And it's funny because if you look them up in the manuals, the J8 is not even there. It's 9DH02-59. And that's exactly what these needles say on them. Yeah, so 9DH2-59. They are 2.59 millimeters in diameter below this little lip. And then it slowly decreases depending on the letters, are supposed to determine, what's going on here. And being that that's a D, it's going to be pretty straight. And then H, and being that there's only D and H and not like DFH, my thinking pattern was that, okay, maybe it's D for 20 millimeters and then goes to the H. So if that's the case, then, and being that they're 2.59 millimeters wide, that's the same as the OEM. Well, the OEMs are DFH, and so there's 3 tapers instead of just 2. And so I was hoping, and like I said, I'm going to try it out, that the D and the H are just a 2 tapered needle instead of a 3 tapered needle. And just so you guys are aware, this is the little shim. You always want to make sure that you account for that. Either leave it in the carburetor or account for it when you pull it out. You lose one of those and you're going to be way off on your settings. So I think basically a full clip, but still when it goes in there, it's gonna bounce around because the space that this sits, the little spot that sits down in, is deep enough to where you need that in there, and the clip or the arm that goes in there, the arm, you need that in there because the arm that goes over the top of the metal clip there sits right at the clip. So if you don't have that spacer in there, it's just going to bounce around like that, and you're going to get some pretty weird metering going on in the fuel. So, and go from there. So that's the best I can really, determine things at this point. It's kind of trial and error. So, all right, let's get to taking this thing apart. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. Let's pop these 2 off, and it really all boils down to just being careful with this stuff. And unfortunately, when I was up in Tuquamanon Falls 2 weeks ago, I was doing this in their parking lot in the snow, and it wasn't really that big of a deal because what I figured out now is if I warm the engine up instead of doing it when it's cold, start the engine up, warm it up, and then get it nice and warm to where when you're working on this stuff, your hands aren't bitter cold and freezing and borderline frostbite or whatever. So that makes it a lot easier. But when I was doing that, I actually lost one of these little washers. And luckily, it didn't make that big of a deal. It did, the screw stayed tight and everything. So, all right, so once you get those 2 screws out, you just pop the top and the gasket off, set that aside. And this is where the 2.5 millimeter comes in and the needle nose, the vice grip needle nose. So you can barely see it right below the cable there. That's what you want to loosen up. And then the little J hook arm there, that holds the needle in. You don't have to do a whole lot as far as unloosening it. You just give it like 1 full turn. Maybe more if it's not loose enough. There, just get that thing out of the way. And you get your needles, and you get your needle nose. Grab it right out. All right, so if you're just looking to switch the circlip of the needle to lean it out or richen it up, if you want to lean it out, you take this circlip, pop it off, and put it in the next slot up, and that'll drop the needle down and lean it out. If you want to richen it up, then you raise the needle by taking this clip and dropping it down a slot. But these are the, I can't really see it. These are 9DFH4 60s. And so with these, you know, when it gets to this point, where I'm holding the throttle to where I'm trying to get the burble to clean out, is that it seems to still, if I put them in the third slot, it just seems like it's still pretty rich or pretty lean but it cleans up at 4,500. And so I'm still trying to figure out as far as, you know, how these needles are going, how much they're going to affect. Because if I can get it to run good just by adjusting the air screw and the fuel screw up to around 3,000 RPMs, and then it starts to get rich, well, as I pull the throttle up, it's coming up out of the needle jet, which I can't replace the needle jet, these are fixed. As it's coming up out of the needle jet, as I'm pulling the throttle, it gets to about right here and it's still rich. So it's almost like it needs to be a greater diameter right here. But for some reason, this one, even in the third slot, it just seems too lean. And so I can't drop it down anymore. And if I raise it up one slot, you know, so if I bring it down to the fourth slot, it's rich and I can't get rid of that. And so, you know, that's the whole issue with this. And trust me, someone told me, I think it was the Mopar guy, you said why don't I have somebody else who's familiar with tuning carbs do this? Well, I've talked to some of the best tuners in Michigan, and they're no joke. You know, these guys race. They've had people come to them from all over the world, or all over the nation at least, and have them tune stuff for them. And this is no disrespect to them, but I'm not getting a whole lot of information from them or new ideas from them other than pretty much what the books say. So that's why I'm doing this, and I'm putting this on the internet, you know, taking suggestions. And like I said, it's no disrespect to them. They're great guys. They know a lot. I mean, they know more than like basically anybody that I know. And so this is really just to, you know, learn myself and do some problem solving on the internet to where hopefully I can either get some ideas from other people or I figure it out and other people can benefit from the ideas and the troubleshooting. So you can see here that the main taper starts right here, but even about right around here, you can see there's another taper, and it's like, I need the taper to stay longer, you know, so I need it to stay fatter for longer before the dramatic, it looks like the taper, a big taper starts right here. So, which is coincidentally enough right where I think the throttle is starting to pull out between 3,000 and 4,800 RPMs. And so it's like it's tapering too quickly, too soon. So, you know, based off of the amount of air that's coming in, I can't just drop it I can't just drop it to the second slot because I think it'll lean it out too much. If it was already lean enough on the second slot, on the third slot, why would I go to the second slot? That's just, you know, I'm not looking to destroy this engine. I mean, I've made so much progress with it already in this whole sled. I'm not looking to burn this thing down. So as far as moving this, you can just grab it and pop it out and then put it in whatever slot you want. Like I said, right here is going to be leaner. This is going to be richer. Normally they're in this third slot. That's pretty common for Arctic Cats, and I think most sleds. So I think I'm going to get the OEM needles and put them in the second slot with these valves. So I'm going to grab that and put that in real quick. All right, so this is the OEM. These are the 9DFH 2-59. And you do not want to drop these. They're really tiny, and you'd be better out. Just be careful of them. That's all you got to do. All right, so I'm going to drop this back in there real quick. You know, this is actually a really quick job. I'm just, you know, explaining things. So that arm that I pulled out, you just flick that back over and then tighten up your screw. It doesn't have to be stupid tight either. Just once it touches, you just kind of give it a little tweak. All right, so we'll go ahead and put this cover back on. You want to account for the gasket, make sure it's on the right way. There are little posts that are cast into the top of the mixing chamber here where this mating surface is. There's holes in the gasket, they'll pop over those, and then there's holes on the bottom of this, and that's what holds everything, pretty much, partially, what holds it aligned, other than the screws. And these aren't, I'm sure you noticed, these aren't the OEM screws. These are stainless steel socket head. And they're 6mm by 1. I think they're only like 1/2 inch long, maybe 3/8. And once these things hit the bottom there, you just want to give them maybe another 1/8 to 1/4 turn. Okay, right there. And we'll go to the other side. The other side's a little bit more difficult, especially when you got like a coat on. I mean, if it's enough, you can get your coat in there, but if you need to, pull the coat off. Let's see, this one's missing the lock washer. Not anymore. Get this other screw off. And this is the challenging part, is trying to get that stinking lock washer to come up with the screw. The ones that belong on there, the Phillips head screws, those, yeah, see? The Phillips head screws, the lock washer stays on there, so you don't have to worry about it. You just have to worry about dropping those. Or stripping them out. Loosen up this one. And this one's a little bit more challenging just because of the cables right here. And you want to account for the nylon spacer that is under the bottom of the needle circlip. I like to pull these out with them off because I don't even want to have to worry about it. So pop that off. Second slot. Needle back in there. Arm back over. Tighten up the screw. Put the cap back on. Man, these caps are getting corroded already. Just polished them at the beginning of the season. Yeah, it's a little bit more of a pain in the tuchus. Just to get everything lined up sometimes. Screw 1. Screw 2. There you go. It's that easy, guys. I mean, it's not really that hard. Like I said, I did this on the trail numerous times this season. So you have the right tools with you and the engine's warm. It makes it a lot easier to do. So just be careful you don't drop those screws or the clips or anything else, you know. So that's all stuff that you want to be careful with either way. But best of tuning to you guys. Good luck. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Hopefully with this will get us into a little bit better position as far as that richness goes. So thanks everybody for the comments on the shorts and the other video. Hope you guys enjoyed the stuff. And like I said, keep coming back. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the alert bell. Smash a like button. Always appreciate that. That we can come on back, check out what we got going on. Like I said, always doing stuff here, fixing a ride. Always got something going on. Motocross season is going to be here before we know it, so that's always something to look forward to as well. But for now, we got another storm coming, so let's get these guys back out. All right, guys, take care. Come on back. God bless.